Hi YouTube, my name is Matt. This is my first public video. Like a lot of you guys, I have a number of hobbies, and while I'm sure that many of them may crop up from time to time in future videos, my biggest personal interest is in knives. I'm a knife enthusiast. I love to use them every day, and I believe wholeheartedly in our right to carry them. Having said that, I make absolutely no claims that I am or ever will be a knife expert. Like every other person who appreciates the available advice and the community that comes with online sites like YouTube, all the forums, iknifecollector.com, I simply just want to be a bigger part of it. And if I happen to help out somebody in the process, then that's cool too. So the knife that I wanted to do a review on is one that's probably already familiar to you. Jeff, or Cutlery Lover, has actually already made a review on this particular knife a few weeks ago. It's called the CKC Hiker. It stands for Custom Kyley Cutlery. And it's made by a mutual friend named Kyley who lives in New Zealand. And in New Zealand, there is a very interesting knife company called Sford. And quite simply, what Kyley did was he took an existing Sford folding knife called the Peasant Folder and made it into a fixed blade, like you see. Ingeniously, what he did was, you can probably see this, the tang of the original folder actually kind of swept up, and if you can differentiate the tang here from the epoxy to the left and to the right, that's where the tang actually comes out at. And pretty clever, what he did was he took a piece of wood, put it on the bottom, and actually covering the entire surface area of the handles here, surrounded the tang with epoxy. Put a new piece of wood on top to sandwich it in, pressed it, let it dry, and created for himself a new fixed blade. The steel that Ford uses for the peasant folder for this knife is a tool steel that I was previously unfamiliar with. It's called L6. Other tool steels that you may already have heard of include A2, D2, O1. But what separates L6 from even these is L6's unbelievable toughness. L6 is much tougher than D2 and is actually even slightly tougher than A2. And to prove that, there's a book that's available online that I've been reading, or been skimming rather. It's called Steel Metallurgy for the Non-Metallurgist, and on page 158 there's a pretty helpful table that describes exactly what I said. L6, the L standing for low alloy, has a toughness rating from 1 to 10 of 6, whereas A2 and D2 have a rating system of a rating of 5 and 2, respectively, for the toughness. So L6 is in fact a tougher steel than A2, the much coveted A2 steel. One thing you also need to note about L6 steel, though, however, is it's a tool steel. It's not a stainless steel. In order for a steel to be considered stainless, it has to have at least 11% of its mass composition to be chromium. L6 has anywhere from 0.6 to 1.2% of its mass composition as chromium, and because of that, it doesn't have as decent a rust corrosion resistance as the stainless. It's not really been a problem for me with this knife. I've used it every day, and it stays with me in a house, which is a relatively low moisture environment. However, I have just recently ordered about 3 more of these from Kyley, one of which I'm going to keep specifically in my car in a bag that stays in it year-round. And because of that, it's going to be subject to not only humidity, but possibly even some of the other elements. And I am going to need to put a nice layer of lubricant on there. I happen to use break-free CLP lubricant. You can use whatever you want to, but just be wary of that particular fact. The length of the blade is just slightly over 3 inches. It's about 8 centimeters. And one thing that Kyley did a fantastic job with was putting a tremendous, a fantastic convex edge on there. To give you a little reference, a little test, here's the ubiquitous paper cut test. Fantastic edge. Some guys are a whole lot better at this than I am, making those little curly cuts. If you can see that or not. But when a knife can do that, we can put those nice curls in there, then you got something pretty special. There we go. That's a beautiful one right there. So a fantastic edge. Thank you, Kyley. The knife is extremely light. Oh, before I move on, there was an interesting question that a guy or a girl, I'm not quite sure, asked Jeff on his review about whether or not, the choils right there, whether or not the edge right here will cut you. And the answer to that is no. I don't know if you can see this or not. Let me try to put this little white background. You can see, hopefully you can see a little angle right there. The actual cutting edge starts right here, not there. So when you have your hand locked in, the edge is not going to cut you. I am pressing this as hard as I can. I don't have huge hands, but I am fairly confident that there is no way that that edge is going to give you any problems at all. So the answer to that question is no. The edge will not cut you when you grip into that choil. Like I said before, the knife is extremely light, and to give you a reference, let me get out my fantastic Kershaw Skyline. The Skyline itself is 2.3 ounces. The CKC Hiker, 1.7 ounces. And even with the sheath, it's slightly over 2 ounces, which means when comparing the two, the Kershaw Skyline is still heavier. So for a fixed blade to be lighter than that fantastic light Kershaw Skyline, I think is amazing. Again, thank you, Kyley. One thing that he did a fantastic job on in trying to keep the weight down is the actual use of the wood that he uses. I did a little bit of research on it. It's called Kyley wood. I hope I'm saying that correctly. It's Kwila wood. I had to do a little lookup on it because I didn't know much about the wood itself. I came across a technical term for Kyley wood, and I know that I'm just going to butcher the words, so I'm not even going to try to pronounce them. I'll try to maybe put them in an annotation. But a couple of interesting things I found out about the wood is that it largely comes from Southeast Asia and the islands of the Pacific Ocean. In fact, the Kyley trees are cut down so much in Southeast Asia that they're actually endangered there. Kyley is a very tough wood, and because of that and its natural beauty, it's often used in flooring materials used here in the U.S. and in Europe. So I thought that was pretty interesting, and quite honestly, I think it adds to the aesthetic and intrinsic value of the knife itself. The sheath is one of the older leather versions that Kyley originally made. In fact, you can probably see on the opposite side of the blade here the number 2. Of course, that just indicates that this is the second blade, the second knife that he made after his prototype. Kyley is actually making some really nice ABS and Kydex sheaths now to house the blades, which does a pretty good job in making it both more secure, and with the rivet holes that comes with them, allows you the option of securing the knife to a backpack, or even making the CKC a neck knife, or anything else you might choose to use them for. So overall, I am very impressed with this knife. I've been a big supporter of Kyley and his new project for some time now. I think he does a fantastic job in what he does, and I encourage every one of you guys to check out his profile page here on YouTube. I'll try to provide that here on the sidebar, but he goes by the name Knives and Stuff, and he's just recently worked out a deal with Ford to make some true full-tank CKC hikers, which means he won't need to use the epoxy anymore. So, guys, check him out. He makes some fantastic blades. Get one for yourself. See you guys later. Bye.